have been well trained.
No.
You don't have to carry a sword to be powerful.
I won't fail you.
Or do not.
I'm not afraid.
There is no try.
Welcome back to the Nova Open, round 7 out of 8, so it's second to last. These are the two undefeated players. We've got Droids versus Droids, 6-0. So unfortunately, one of these players will take a loss, and the other player will go on to a 7-0. Both of these players are guaranteed to make the top cut, however, because as we said previously when we started, this is a tournament with a top cut of X and 2s are guaranteed in. Since both of these players are undefeated at 6-0, even if they've lost 2 games in a row, they would still make the top cut. So congratulations to Joe and
Kyle.
Oh, the name is actually Kyle. Okay. Because I thought that was the name from the previous match, so I didn't want to make a mistake here. But yeah, congratulations to Joe, congratulations to Kyle, congratulations to all the players here at the Nova Open. We have a lot of players who are doing very well at 6-1, and a couple players who are at 5-2 who are fighting extremely hard to make that top cut. And we have seen some of the most intense Destiny on stream in a long while. So here with me is Billy. How you doing?
Doing well. Recovering a bit from the last couple of matches. They've been intense.
Those were just full of gas, like nothing less than incredible. So here, this is nothing new that we've seen today. We've got Droids versus Droids, the same concept. They're going to be activating, dealing lots of damage, removing resources, and all kinds of shenanigans. But let's talk about the difference between Satine Droids and Chopper Droids.
Well, Chopper Droids are looking to utilize Chopper's power action, and they have a lot better chance of kind of messing with their opponent. Satine Droids we've seen this before. Joe is a master at running this, just getting stuff on the table, support-wise, and going to town.
Yeah, so even though these are two droid-based decks, the shell is droids with R2 and C-3PO, we are going to see different lines of play because both decks do different things. Now, they might not be super different, but it's still impactful in how they achieve their victory. So tell us a little bit about the Chopper power action that we just saw Kyle utilize here.
Yeah, so he played a droid mod from his hand for free because of Chopper's power action. The grappling arms coming out, and there's Han's blaster coming out on Joe's side, which removes the Chopper die and has ambush. Or no, it's not. Does it? I don't think.
Yeah, it has ambush.
Yeah, it has ambush. So I thought it did.
So this is something we've seen out of Joe where he'll start to put really, really impactful upgrades on his character. So we've seen things like Han's blaster. We've seen things like Chewie's blaster. We see a lot of blasters, apparently. But the idea is get these really, really powerful dice onto the table and let R2 flip into the best side at the best moment. So we're going to see a lot of whatever Joe's got in his hand is going to consistently become the biggest threat it could possibly be.
So Han's shown the 2 there, rolling in R2 for a 2 melee and a buck.
Let's see what R2 decides to flip into here with his activation ability. Early game, we did see 0 action sheets.
And
so no droid day out, you have no money, haha, come again. So it's going to be very interesting because as we saw in the previous mirror matchup, the deeper the game goes, the higher the probability is to draw into that, which means we could see a round 3 or round 4 big bursty play, which is going to be incredibly important as the game goes along. So we're watching Joe. He's going to try and figure out what he wants to do here, but it seems like he's sitting on 2 indirect with Satine, 1 resource with 3PO.
that's a disrupt with 3. Sorry.
No, R2-D2 has the disrupt, and Han has a 2 range side showing.
Yep.
Kyle plays out Mr. Bones, who we saw is very impactful in the previous game. So now we're starting to establish ourselves to get to that round 2, round 3 explosive kill, because I don't think anyone's going to die here on this first round.
Here comes Mr. Bones for the 3 for 1.
3 for 1. We've got $1 showing on R2's die, and Kyle has not activated his C-3PO, so we could see him take the dollar, but unfortunately R2 on Joe's side is showing a disrupt, so he's got to figure a way out to stick that dollar and not lose it. So Joe's contemplating what his options are here, but Kyle has a lot of really interesting opportunities. Joe takes the dollar, so he has 2 resources in total on his side. And then Kyle activates his C-3PO, rolls out of focus.
I mean, what he could do is boost the resource here to get... Oh, he's going to disrupt. Okay.
So Kyle decided to disrupt 2 resources from Joe, but he is also in the same problem. He is showing 1 resource, and Joe could just disrupt it himself. So Joe's deciding where he's going to spend the 2 damage from Han's Blaster.
Against R2.
Going
I think I saw a crate speeder in Joe's hand over there, so 2 resources keeps the card off the table.
It does. Now, do you want to speculate a little bit about why Joe decided to go after R2 instead of Chopper?
It's an interesting call, right? So you got the basically the free focus from R2's ability. He might see that's more impactful than Chopper's ability.
Which is fine. Both of these players have proven that throughout the course of the day they are undefeated and they know what's going on. But it's always interesting because most people prioritize Chopper over everything else. And Joe's decided that is not the case in this game right now.
All right, so 3 damage coming from Mr. Bones and R2 onto R2. So they're both going after R2.
Yeah, maybe they know something we don't.
Well, R2's got the blaster over there on Joe's side, so Kyle's probably targeting him because of that very impactful die you were speaking of.
Right.
Going to round 2 here after Joe claims. So 5 damage on R2, 3 left. Got 2 damage over on Kyle's R2. So let's see what happens here. R2's coming in. 2 and a blank. And going to flip to the 2. And Droid's Day out.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Kyle got the huge action sheet. So we're going to see Mr. Bones, R2-D2, Chopper, and C-3PO roll out a lot of dice. R2 is going to flip one into a side of choice, and C-3PO is going to increase its value by 1. So you got to draw a card if you activate more than 3 droids. And here we go. Mr. Bones
and
going
there's
in.
an dead R2.
Oh, boy. This is going to be very interesting.
And
because
don't
Mr.
forget,
Bones is still online again.
Yeah, he resets after the kill there on R2.
Chopper is showing damage. C-3PO is showing focus. This could lead to a very damaged Satine or C-3PO, depending on what Kyle decides to do. Joe rolls his Satine, gets a 2-for-1 and a 2-for-1 resource side. So he could put a lot of resources on the table here and play some big stuff.
He has, I think I saw Dismantle in there, so he could pay 2 and get rid of Mr. Bones if he wanted to.
Yeah, we're about to see what's going on. Joe is not out by any means, but it is very unfortunate to lose R2-D2 with the Han's Blaster so quickly. But as we've seen before, he does have Chewie's Blaster, which that die is gross. All right, what is Kyle playing here?
Oh,
is that the card where you draw 3, pitch 1?
I think so, yeah.
Gets rid of a salvage arm. He gets rid of a salvage arm.
Well, he can pull it back with
he can pull it
Chopper's
back with
ability.
Chopper. Yeah, so basically it's draw 3, pitch 1, reanimate
Yep.
it. So he basically got 3 cards.
And now that melee side he's showing is one bigger.
Ooh, there's that crate speeder you talked about.
Yep.
All right, Joe's getting some gas, putting some pressure on the opponent with big supports. Well, I mean, in this instance, 3 damage is no joke. Even 2 damage is very impactful.
And on 3PO.
All right, so 3PO is the target that
Makes
Kyle's
sense.
going after. It does make sense. He gives Satine more power. He gives everything more power, whereas Satine just gives you a reroll. That's not going to do much in terms of damage.
There's a
if
shield.
You can't boost it.
Here comes Bones
All
again.
right, Mr. Bones tapping out, rolls.
2 melee. He's been rolling very well with Bones.
Yeah, that Mr. Bones die is nothing but gas.
And there it is. Yep, he's going to get rid of it.
Now, what does Dismantle do?
So you pay, choose a support, pay its cost, and it's discarded.
Yeah, it's a really great card because it gives you the opportunity to blow up big threats. And, Mr. Bones killing you, reactivating, killing you again, reactivating. It gets pretty annoying after the course of, multiple turns. And Mr. Bones does have a lot of damage potential. So we see a pitch to reroll. R2-D2 gets a blank, a 2 sticks. Chopper gets a disrupt and a disrupt on the arm?
Well, no, on Dismantle, it's got to be a support and play with no mods on it.
Ah, there you go. That's pretty important to note.
Yeah, especially since we saw last game Kyle putting those mods onto Mr. Bones after Chopper bit it earlier.
Yeah, that's true. All right, 3PO is at 5 out of 8. That's not a great place to be here in round 2. Kyle still has a full team. Joe has a significantly beaten up team.
Yeah, this is an uphill battle for Joe.
And unfortunately for him, Kyle has a focus on C-3PO, so he can flip into some damage.
Right, picking to get rid of the disrupt sides,
Yeah.
Focus some damage on
two.
R2.
And that's going to be a dead 3PO if he can't stop. No, that's 7.
No,
That's
7, yep.
He already used the salvage arms on.
Oh, I perform violence.
Oh, wow.
So that is a dead C-3PO.
Tell us a little bit about this card here.
That is so much fun.
This is a card you don't see super often until you do, and then your character is dead. Joe plays a second crate speeder, which if he rolls a 2, he can increase it to 3, which he doesn't.
So,
they can pitch to reroll here. He could get 6 damage out of these 2 dice and kill. Oh my
Wow.
gosh, there it is.
Yep. So, I perform violence, ambush, resolve one of your character or droid dice, showing melee as unblockable, increasing its value by 1, or 2 instead if it's a Mr. Bones die.
All right, so we saw Joe get exactly what he needed. So the crate speeder works like this. You can increase the value of your die if you put 1 damage on the crate speeder itself, but you can only do it once unless you have a way to pull that damage off, which none of these decks do. But the reality is Joe needed both of those dice to show 2 direct damage, which he got, which is very unlikely, but he still rolled for it and he got it. So now the R2-D2 for Kyle is gone. However, Joe only has Satine left. He does have 2 crate speeders. Kyle has a fully healthy C-3PO and Chopper. It's still anyone's game, but the problem is Satine is not going to be the damage dealer here. It's going to be those supports.
Mm-hmm.
How does Joe get out of this?
If anyone can do it, it's gonna be him. But it's gonna be interesting to see. He's got to get some more supports down, get some more dice out there.
All right, so Chopper just uses power action to pull out
the rocket booster.
So this is a droid mod, so Chopper can pull it out of the discard pile at a 1 resource reduction. So it also has a very special action that allows Chopper to do all kinds of things. So tell us a little bit about the dice and the ability here.
So rocket booster has dice size of 1 range, 2 indirect, 3 indirect for $1, 1 shield, 2 shield. As an action, you can activate the attached droid, then resolve any number of its character, support, and upgrade dice, and discard the upgrade of rocket booster.
Yeah, so that's going to give Chopper a little bit more punch in the attempt to get rid of Satine. Joe has rolled out both of his crate speeders, so he has a 1 resource showing and a 2 indirect damage showing. You're probably going to see him activate Satine and use her ability to reroll the crate speeder into damage, because right now, unless he plays something, some kind of upgrade, he really needs to start pushing damage.
All right, so there's 3 indirect with the salvaged arm.
Yeah, that's straight to Satine's face because there's no other target. So Joe has 5 health left to play with. Once again, both these players are going to make it into the top cut, so the pressure isn't nearly as difficult. But in all reality, they want to go as undefeated as humanly possible so that they have the strongest schedule for day 2. So regardless of where they stand in making day 2, they want to perform the best they possibly can. And we really wish them well because it makes for such interesting gaming. Satine gets her 2 indirect and re-rolls the crate speeder back into a resource.
So 4 indirect. Showing on Joe's side, we got melee, a focus, and a discard on Kyle's side. And without it, 3PO rolled in.
Pretty sure that indirect damage goes straight into 3PO.
Yeah, and I saw in Kyle saying earlier, field medic, so 2 is going to get healed.
We know what that card can do.
Yeah.
That is a very potent card. Especially if you get to pick where the indirect damage goes, you can put into 3PO and then say, I'm going to play this card and just kind of not really care about it. Your Chopper is still very healthy. Your 3PO is still very healthy. And your opponent only has 5 health, and you've got a really strong board presence ready to go into the next round. What's really sad, though, unfortunately for Joe, is any of his action sheets are just offline right now.
Yeah.
He can only activate a character, and all the action sheet cards really don't have any effect on those crate speeders.
2 indirect. Oh, Kyle's trying to decide if he wants to use 3P's ability, which he would have to pay a resource for. Okay. Yep. All right. So yeah, you can resolve it. You boost it by 1 by paying a resource, but you can still resolve it. So, showing three melee damage over there on Chopper.
Yeah, that'll put Satine at 2 damage left. No, she has 9, right? 8? No, she has 8. No, I'm pretty sure she has 9. I can't remember. She has 9. My brain is just finazzled.
She does.
All right, so 3 goes into Satine.
Yeah. 9 on Satine.
Yeah, because I was like, Chopper Droids is 888. Satine Droids is 988.
988, yep.
All right, 3 health is left on Joe's side. He needs to make something happen here. Otherwise, it's going to hurt real bad.
Hard muscle.
All right, this could be very, very, very much the impactful swing he needs. All right, we activate. Let's see what we get off of this.
3 indirect.
3 indirect
So
is
it's showing
important.
5 indirect right now.
And you know what? He's got the money to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Automated defense to get rid of it.
That feels really bad. You really, really need that die to start putting pressure on your opponent. And it's no longer in the pool, which is very unfortunate.
All right, taking the money.
All right, Joe must have something in his hand because he's not resolving that indirect damage for some odd reason.
It's a
Hey,
cruiser.
remember this card?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is going to give him the sustainability he needs to keep Satine alive. As long as it doesn't get dismantled, which we've seen pretty quickly happen from other players in past matchups.
Flee the scene.
Ooh. Now tell us a little bit about this card because it's spicy.
So you are going to pay 1 and...
Joe's really thinking about this.
So flee the scene, remove up to 2 dice. You must pass your next 2 actions, or two turns this round. So
Joe re-rolls a die.
Yep, nothing.
So 1 more. Because this is an interesting place where you could claim your opponent has to pass and you go into the next round. But Joe does get the 2 indirect damage, so he's able to put a little bit more pressure on the opponent. He's got 4 resources, but unfortunately only 3 health left on Satine. Really needed those 2 shields. But we could see something really interesting come out because I'm fairly sure he's running things like Field Medic. We've seen him play it before. We could see him run into removal. Easy Pickings is still online because he has a yellow character. There's a lot of options. Joe's not out of it, but it is an uphill battle. However, he does have the capacity to throw out some pretty significant damage that could kill 3PO this round. And then, Chopper's left alone with nothing else. He might fizzle. We don't know. But it is Kyle's activation. He does have 2 droids available, so if he has any kind of action sheet, he could potentially roll all of them out and start doing terrible things to Satine. So we just have to wait and see what happens here.
Instigate.
All right, what does that card do?
Pay 1, gives you ambush, and you activate one of your characters or supports. And
all right, there's the
that's
damage.
Gonna be it.
All right, so Joe extends the hand. Kyle takes the win. Congratulations, he rolled out lethal. Satine just didn't happen. But this is still, again, even though it's a mirror match, 2 completely different ways to win the game.
Yep.
And what are your thoughts on this? Because it went quick, but it was still very interesting.
It was. Kyle was able to pump out that damage. He really was with Mr. Bones and R2's dice and Chopper's dice. It was pretty consistent. He was in his dice were hot, and sometimes you just get dice that are hot, and not much you can do about that from your opponent's perspective. But
Right.
Joe played the best he could. He always does very well. So. We'll see both these players in the cut.
I think what was actually the most interesting was, I believe it was turn 2 or turn 3 when Kyle got that droid stay off.
Yeah.
We never saw Joe get that kind of action sheet. And Kyle he got the card at the right time. He was able to roll all of his dice out, do all kinds of stuff. And Joe never got the chance. And that really hurts as a droid player to build a deck that's based off of using action sheets to gain an advantage, and you don't see those cards.
Yeah. So still got 16 minutes left in this round, and we'll have one more round after this.
Yeah, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back in about 16 to 20 minutes, but we are here with the Chance Cube having fun at the Nova Open. If you're enjoying their content, definitely like, subscribe, check out their Twitch, their YouTube, their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, who knows what else they could possibly have, but definitely check it out because we appreciate them helping to bring Destiny into your house, your car, your van, your plane, your spaceship, whatever you drive. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back.
This coverage of Star Wars Destiny is supported in part by our patrons. The Chance Cube wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the support of our patrons. We appreciate each and every one of you who generously support us in our mission to explore Star Wars Destiny and educate players along the way. We couldn't do it without you. If you would like to join our friends in high places, then head over to patreon.com/The Chance Cube. $1 a month goes a long way to maintaining and growing content like this and much more. And special thanks to Jim Goss, Derek Bertram, and Nathan Henderson for their generous support as top tier patrons.